welcome to my channel. I am Josh, and today, or in this video rather, I'm going to be doing or showing a book. And this video is my Blackathon week-long reading vlog. So this month I am reading pretty much exclusively books authored by Black authors, and I wanted to participate in the week-long readathon because I did not want to participate in any one particular group or team. Part of that was just because I'm reading a variety of books this month. I am hoping to read several books this week. I've already finished one book today that I actually started yesterday, but I'll touch on that in a second. I have planned this month to read about 2 books a week, but I'm hoping to fit into 3, maybe even 4 books this week if possible, to make a more exciting vlog. And I'm hoping the vlog will motivate me to read more as well. And so far it's actually worked. Yesterday I rushed to finish my second book of the month, Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett, which I enjoyed. 3.5 to 4 stars. I will not talk about that because I read it before the vlog. And before that, I read Showdown by Will Haygood, another book that I think I gave about 4 stars, maybe 3.5 to 4. A good book, not always the most focused, but I was going to talk about it, so why am I doing that? Now, I just finished this afternoon, actually, The Wicker King by Kay Ancrum. I started it last night. Part of me wanted to finish this one as well as Full Disclosure so I could start something brand new, but I didn't do it. But still, finish it today, and I really like this. I'm going to give it 4 stars, maybe 4 to 4.5 there, range-wise, but this is one that gave me very strong Bridge to Terabithia vibes. I've never actually read that book, but I watched the movie, and if you've seen it, you probably know what I'm talking about, this idea where they had this fantastical world, and in the movie, it's not real. In this one, it's much more ambiguous. But there is this huge exploration of mental health in this relationship between these 2 guys, these 2 teenagers, and the way that develops, it's just, I love their friendship so much, and I keep wanting more. There's just so much what's the word I'm looking for? Sexual energy between the 2 of them, and I'm just waiting for it to burst. And that's like an ongoing thing in the story. Then there's the other side where it's basically this idea this one boy sees this magical world, and the other one sort of just, I don't know if he believes him, but he basically goes along with it and sort of does what he feels needs to be done for his friend. And we see it sort of just play out in a logical way that sort of explores the world, but also explores the mental health aspects behind it. And that discussion was really well done. I think the only thing that kept this from being a 5-star book for me was it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for. I was hoping for a deeper dive in the magical world. I'm not saying it's not real or not real. It's not real or that it is real. I'm saying that the mental health side of it is a big part of it. And like I've talked before about how I think that's a good way to approach this kind of a book. And I think it worked really well because of that. But I don't know, I kept wanting more of the world, and I don't know why it didn't quite work as strongly as I thought this type of format would have. The other thing here that I want to point out is the writing was really good. This is a YA book, but it didn't feel like a YA book. The storyline was clearly YA, but the writing itself didn't feel like I was being spoken to as if I was a teenager, and I really liked that sort of mature style that was going on in here, making this book work really well for me. So yes, a great way to start this vlog off, and I'm excited to have read this. Now, I was going to read next The New Moon, or The Moon Arms by Nell Hopkinson, but I decided to try and fit in one of my arcs, which is No Gods, No Monsters, which was an arc that I got a year ago or more. And I was supposed to read it when it came out back in September of 2021, and I haven't. So I decided to read it now, probably because I just felt compelled to, and it's sort of fantasy horror, and I kind of was in the mood for a horror. So I figured I was going to choose between this and that. This and that. And I let the quantum number generator decide, and it turns out the RNG picked this one to go first. So I've just now started this, have no comments. Those are my thoughts so far. The rule for the day, or the challenge for day 1, is to read at least 100 pages. Now, I listen to books, so I'm not actually physically reading them. In my experience, a 300-page book is about 12 hours, so I listen about double speed. That's 6 hours of listening, and 100 is 1/3 of 300, which means 1/3 of 6 hours would be 2 hours of listening. And I'm pretty sure I listened to an hour and a half of Wicker King, so if I can get to at least an hour more of No Gods, No Monsters, I'll be good to go. And I'm pretty sure that will happen. Still midday, let us move on. The opening clip here was just me coming home from school, actually. I had to go to class this morning. A lot of things going on. I applied for a fellowship to get a postdoc position at a school in the States, at a school I really want to go to, in a location that I really want to be at for my postdoc, and I got an interview, which is a really good sign. but I'm now terrified as I have to get that done this week. But it's also very exciting stuff. I guess by the time this vlog is over, you will see at least my reaction, how the interview went, if not what the result was. But this is like a big thing. This is my future. But you win some, you lose some. That's how I'm approaching it. That's just where I'm at today. I'm in a good headspace because of that. But for now, let's for real move on. I gotta do some work and maybe listen to a little audio. Okay, so yesterday was a day, that's for sure. Like, would it consider a bad day for reading? Because I did finish The Wicker King, and I started a great book that is Dale Hopkinson's The New Moon, but I did not like No Gods, No Monsters. I ended up DNFing it. I want to say at about 30%, maybe 40%. I really thought I was going to like that book. It's a sci-fi fantasy. It has to do with monsters in a world that are now becoming apparent, and I guess I was expecting it to be more horrific, and it was less that. It was also more literary, which doesn't make it objectively bad. I'm just not in the right headspace right now for that, because I just kept getting lost. Like, we were jumping between so many characters trying to figure out how they all connect, if they all connect. There were some interesting themes within the book where it talked about monsters and how certain people are perceived as monsters, I think, but I would recommend checking out reviews from people who actually read the entire book and understood it better than I did for that complete idea. I just realized I wasn't getting it, and I decided the week is too short, the life is too short, and I decided just to DNF it. Which is unfortunate because it was an e-arc that I get from NetGalley, and I just thought I would like it more. I also, for some reason, wasn't feeling the audiobook. It's narrated by Dion Graham, who has a good voice, but not my favorite one. It just all felt kind of like I was being whispered to as I was slowly falling asleep. Maybe that was just part of why I was getting detached, because I was just sort of bored with it. But I just wasn't feeling it. But I definitely read at least 100 pages yesterday, so that's positive. And I think I'm at least a quarter of the way into The New Moon Arms. I don't know if it'll be a favorite all time, but I am solidly enjoying it. It's pretty much what I was hoping it would be. The main character, her name used to be Charity, now it's Chastity. No, it used to be Chastity, now it's Calamity. I think it's her new name. And she's this woman going through menopause, and her father just died, and she's dealing with getting older because she doesn't like getting older. Honestly, she gives me very much Blanche Devereaux vibes, from Golden Girls, and I actually kind of love it for that. But there is no but, really. I'm liking it, and I'll keep you updated on how it evolves. So now it's day 2 of Blackathon Readathon. So now let's figure out what the challenge the challenge is for the day. And day 2, talk about your favorite book by a black author and your favorite movie with a black lead. If you don't have one, talk about a book you'd like to read or a movie you'd like to watch. Okay. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Octavia E. Butler's Kindred, or maybe now Parable of the Talents. I really like Parable of the Talents, but I'm scared to say it's my favorite until after I reread it. But which one? I talk about Kindred so much, time travel story going back to Into the South. It uses a sci-fi fantasy element, of my favorite element really in fiction, time travel, to tell a very deep story and analyze the system of white supremacy and racism and slavery in America, and also compare that to modern day privileges and biases in a way that's just really well done and really compelling. And then Parable of the Talents, it's book 2 of the Parable series, Earthseed duology, about this near future that starts in 2015, so no longer near. Climate change is getting progressively worse, far-right candidates are getting into office, and that's exactly what's happening. And ultimately, there is a story of hope, but also the second book, the first book is about introducing this idea of Earthseed, which is this religion of God has changed. Everything you touch, you change. Everything you change changes you. And it's this idea, I think, the core of it. Everything's going to change, inevitably. You can decide to become a passive recipient of that change or an active member of inciting the change. You can decide your own future. And that is very prevalent in the second book. But we also get to see that idea challenged significantly in the second book through different perspectives, which I really appreciated. Having this idea the system that I really like, challenged in new ways, made me think about it in new ways, while also giving us a little bit of hope in this dark future world, this dark current world. And in a movie, favorite, it's so hard. I can't think of a favorite. I don't have a lot of favorite movies, at least. So I'm just going to say one that I recently watched that I really liked, called 9 Days. It was It was released, I think, in 2021, maybe 2020. It technically has a series of leads, but the main lead, I think, you could say, is a black man. And it's this movie set in this sort of pre-afterlife where 9 or 8 individuals, 8 or 9 souls, come to this man's home, and they have to sort of be interviewed to be selected to be born on Earth, right?
You are being considered for the amazing opportunity of life.
Am I dead?
I wouldn't say you're alive or dead.
Are you the boss?
I would say a cog in the wheel.
How long is this process?
If you make it until the end, 9 days.
And it's a sort of metaphysical, interesting reflection on life, and also sort of exploring not just necessarily the system itself, even though that is sort of what's being hinted at in the narrative, but it's about this bigger idea of life and what is a meaningful life and the scope of life. I love this idea of looking at life from a holistic, not holistic, but, a full perspective from the start and the end, and what comprises a life and what makes a good life versus a bad life. And it worked really well. It was as good as I was hoping it would be from the trailer. One of those movies where I was worried it wouldn't live up to the hype I set up in my mind. And it's, I think, very underrated. I haven't heard much of anything about it, but it was, I don't know, I really liked it. And now I have to get to work. I have, grading, writing, preparing for that stupid interview. If you're curious about what I'm eating, we have ourselves here a mango, pineapple, mixed berry smoothie with water as the base. This shit tastes like candy, I'm not gonna lie. It's delicious. I sometimes put kale in it, but I won't lie. It's not as good when it has kale. I should get on with my day. It's after 10. Hi everyone, and welcome to day 3 now, I think it is. Yes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, day 3 of Blackathon in the Blackathon week-long reading vlog. So today I am just going to update you and then talk about the challenge. So I'm now still reading The New Moon's Arms. I'm liking it. I'd say I'm really liking it, but it's not likely to be a favorite, I think. But it is being, I think, exactly what I was hoping from it, which is a book with sprinkles of speculativeness in it and the unique creativeness that I think was very apparent from my first book that I read from Neil Hopkinson, but is grounded in a very, I think, human story. And I talked already about how it's focusing on this woman going through menopause, and what I really wasn't expecting was how flawed she was going to be. And I really like seeing these characters who are real, who are flawed, who are just allowed to exist as imperfect people. And I'd love to see that here in this book. For that reason, I like the ability to sort of be grounded while also getting the touch into things that I love to explore. I have about 3 hours left on it, so probably about halfway or so, almost halfway. And hopefully by tomorrow, I'll finish the book and be able to move on to at least one more book before the reading vlog is over, maybe 2. I'm trying to decide still what I want to read next. So this challenge, though, is something I have to pull up. So, okay, day 3. Watch a film directed by a black person. That's something I'll have to do tonight. I have a lot of grading left to do for this afternoon, but I'm going to try my best. I may actually watch an episode of TV instead, and I think it won't be quite as intensive as having to fit an entire movie. But I'll think about it. I'll explore different movies that I want to see and see whether or not I'm compelled. But I'll share that with you later once I decide what it is I'm going to keep watching. I had a dentist appointment this morning. It was the first time I went to a dentist in a long time. An embarrassingly long time, but I will not specify. And now I have some follow-up procedures, which is a good thing that I'm going. But I figured I am finishing my PhD. I need to make use of my dentist dental insurance while I still have it. You never know where life could take me. Hopefully, I'll still have insurance moving forward, but better safe than sorry. I'll sketch y'all later. So it's now 8 p.m., day 3 still. I walked to and from school this morning, so I got about an hour of reading done. but I believe we talked after I went to the dentist, so nothing more. But I've decided I am in the mood for a movie. I'm not just going to watch this show, an episode of the show, and I haven't narrowed down to 2 horror movies that I want to watch. There's His House, which is a horror movie on Netflix I've heard about and wanting to watch for the longest time. That came out in 2020. There's another one that I discovered while Googling, and that is Atlantics. And it says it's a drama romance, but it was on a list of black horror, and that was what drew me to it. So I'm thinking, why don't I watch the trailer and react to it with both of you? Both of these, I'll watch it, you can see my reaction, and I'll decide from those 2. So let's start with Atlantics. I was very confused for a lot of that, because I don't know, wasn't what I was expecting. But didn't know it was a foreign film. I guess it's a love story. Suleiman is someone this young girl loved, and he is dead, so it's a bit of a ghost story. Doesn't feel like horror though, but it's listed as a #1 in this from GameStop.com. I don't know how accurate it is, but let's now check out His House. Both, I should also say, both of these have like 96% and 100%, so very high on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, which I do put some value in. Now, His House. I've seen it.
Congratulations. You're being released as asylum seekers, not as citizens, not yet. You will be sent to a home of our choosing. You must not move from this address.
We are good people.
Whether or not you're good people, it's not me that needs convincing.
We are not going back. There is no witch.
You don't wonder what it tells me. It says I should be afraid of you.
You know, I don't know if I've actually watched that entire trailer before, and I think I'm gonna go with His House. I am still interested and want to watch Atlantics, but between the 2, I've been wanting to watch His House for a long time, and I think because it seems kind of obvious I would go with the British film because it's closer to what I'm familiar with, but it does have more of the traditional type of horror that I tend to like, which is a supernatural, it's kind of scary horror. There's even one point that I think I jumped. So I'm going to start with His House. I'm going to watch that tonight because it looks pretty unnerving, and I love a good creep story. Will I watch it right now? I need to do a bit more grading. I don't think I'm going to be done by tomorrow. I kind of let myself go this afternoon after my meeting. But still, I'm in the mood to watch a movie at some point, so I think I will. I think I might end up watching it or casting it to my Oculus Quest, sort of watch it on big screen, you know, the VR theater. Which, if you have an Oculus Quest, let me know. You can add me. Play games or just watch movies together on big screen, which is something I've been obsessed with of late. So, anyways, though, now that we've done this, I'm gonna get on my evening and eventually watch that movie. Okay, no, I was supposed to go, but I was closing out of all the lists that I'd opened up. And there was this one list of different black sci-fi films, and I came across Brown Girl Begins, something I'd never heard of, but the cover kind of drew my attention. And when I Googled it, I saw a picture of Neil Hopkinson's A Brown Girl in the Ring, and apparently this is a loose adaptation of that book. Now I'm very intrigued to read that book and then to watch this. That's exciting. I did not know her book had an adaptation of any kind. Wow, I'm really moving on for real. I'm just going to stop recording, so I'll get tempted to keep talking. So it's 11 o'clock. I have listened to a bit more of the book, but I'm not really here to talk about that. I'm not sure I'm going to watch the movie tonight. I am going to watch the movie this week, I promise. Maybe it's tomorrow, maybe it's Saturday. But I got carried away with work and practicing for my presentation on Friday for that fellowship that I talked about. Movie's not going to happen tonight, even though I was in the headspace for it. I'm no longer in it. And I could do it. It's just, now it's one of those things where it would be a chore to have to make myself stay up later when I have so much going on. You know, this is all for fun. It's no reason why I can't watch the movie later this week, which I promise I will. For now, though, I'm going to do a bit more work before I go to sleep. It looks like I'm such a hard worker, and I don't think I am. I just procrastinate too much. Okay, it's 12 a.m. on, well, technically it's Friday, but the video you've been seeing, the clips are from Thursday. I am so sorry. I've been meaning to talk to you, but I've been so busy with so much going on. I am very close to finishing The New Moon's Arms, and overall I've been really liking it. There was a bit of a slug there for a while, but as I reach the ending, I'm actually really liking it even more. So I feel like the ending is pretty solid here, but I haven't quite finished it yet. I have half an hour left. I wanted to finish it tonight. Then I got carried away with grading and also reviewing interview questions. I just kept going through my head. It's very intimidating. I'm a little worried. I don't know what the right answer is. But that's what I've been thinking about. I did do the challenge for today. I believe it was a take a quiz on art that was created by Black creators. That's the general theme. I haven't actually read the quiz title. I just know that the questions were asking about the different types of like who created this, who created that, who was known for doing this. And I thought I knew it, a lot of them, but I got them mostly wrong. I think in the end, the answer, the total I got was like below average, like 20%. So not great. Clearly I have some learning to do there. I haven't watched the movie tonight. I've been busy and I thought about making it happen, but I realized it didn't make sense. It's already a day late, so why don't I wait till after I've done the interview. Probably tomorrow night I'll be less stressed. I'll be beyond. It's weird to think that my entire future, or at least the next 2 years, could hinge on this. Like, I'm not saying like I'll be a failure if I don't get it, but this is a big fucking deal. This is exactly what I wanted. Anyways, I'm gonna get ready for bed. And then sleep. Yeah, that's what you do when you go to bed. I'll see you all tomorrow. Hi, everyone. So I did my interview, I did my presentation, and I think it went well. At least I feel like they responded well to my answers, and I think the presentation went well. Maybe I talked a little fast, but I feel pretty good about it. I'll know for sure next week, so I actually may just hold up on this presentation. I may just hold up on posting this vlog until I have an answer, so I can at least confirm within the scope of this one vlog whether I actually got the job, because that's a big deal if I don't. If not, that's okay. I still have plenty of other avenues to pursue, but if I do, I will be very excited. I'm talking very monotone right now, but if it actually happens, expect a very exciting reaction. But this will be interesting in retrospect to see the progression of my mindset with this, finding out about the presentation, giving the presentation, and then getting the answer within like a week. So it's all happening so fast, which is, I feel like good, less time to stress. So I finished this book here, this gorgeous book, The New Moon's Arms. I'm gonna give this a solid 4. I think for most of it I was feeling 3.5 to 4, but I think it's affirmed being just a solid 4, because I did really like it overall, especially towards the end. Like I was saying, I really appreciated, I guess, this direction it went, is how we really were exploring the flaws in our character to new depths. I mean, she turns out to be very homophobic, and that's something that's not even really resolved, which is disappointing. I was hoping for some resolution there, but it's not. She's just an imperfect person who's flawed, and there's not always going to be a solution for her. She just is what she is. All in all, that was a really good book. And while there was a plot there where she has her menopause and she has her father dying and she has this boy she finds and this other bigger story revolving him, at the core of it, I still feel like it's character driven. While there is a plot there to follow, I feel as though the point was to study her and her mindset during this time of her life. And I think that was done really effectively, with hints of some speculative stuff going on all around to keep it unique, you know? It's a solid book. I'm very happy with that experience. Okay, did I DNS something in this vlog? Or was that the last vlog? Literally the last book I read before the one I was talking about was the book I DNF'd, and I can't think to myself, did I DNF a book this vlog? Oh my god, I think I was stretching myself a little too thin this week. So what I'm reading next, actually, is now the question. I thought about reading another arc, but I decided I'm not in the mood. I'm going to decide between these 3. I feel like if I choose either Riot Baby or Freshwater, I have a chance of reading the other one because they're both so short. But if I end up going to Changeling, it probably will be the last thing I read. But who knows, things could change. So I'm going to use a quantum number generator, as per usual. That way, there's a universe where all 3 happen. Actually, let's do top down. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the answer I got was 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do the Changeling. I'm not going to bother showing you. You have to trust me, I didn't cheat. So the Changeling is what it is. Maybe I can rush through this. If I finish it, maybe I'll pick up the Riot Baby since it's a novella. But I guess it really is going to depend on how easy it is to get through this. It's a thick book. I don't know. I felt like his last book that I read, The Devil in the Silver, was a pretty easy read. Like not that it was shallow, but just that it was not too difficult to get into. So I'm looking forward to this. So I still have today to think of the challenge for today, and I still have to watch that movie, which I think I'm going to get to tonight. I haven't decided. I may just play some games to chillax. I thought we came really to watch the movie. Okay, next up is, if you are able, listen to an episode of the Nightlight podcast, free black horror podcast. Okay, sure, I'll do that. Okay, so I'm going to download that and listen to that before I start listening to The Changeling, and I'll decide what else I want to do for the night. But this won't be the last time you see me till tomorrow. So I watched, or rather I listened to a couple episodes of the Nightlight podcast. They were both pretty short because I wanted to get it more than one in. But they were all right. But all in all, I don't think I'll be returning to the podcast. I'm not a big fiction podcaster, and meaning I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts that are about sharing type of fiction story. I know my sister's really into that, so I'm probably going to recommend this to her. She'll probably like it. She loves a good horror fiction podcast. Only really fiction podcast I've considered that I've ever listened to really was from the Nightville way back in the day, and I did not listen consistently. I think I listened to maybe almost 40 episodes of that before I stopped listening. And it's not that I'm not even interested. It's just that I feel more compelled to listen to a regular audiobook or listen to something else that's like politics related or more like discussions of content. Don't have much more to update you on. I may or may not watch that movie tonight. I still haven't decided yet.
Later.
So, y'all might not know this, but I obsessively look for audiobooks. Even when I can't find an audiobook for something, I will return to it if I haven't read it yet through other means and keep looking for one. And I just found there's an audiobook released in April of last year for Women, Race, and Class, a book that I tried to read multiple times last year and didn't get through because I had to read it physically. But now I look at it and it says it's behind a paywall. So now I'm going to see if I can get it on audible.com. Can I get it on audible.ca? I am going to get this audiobook. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to get access to it. I am going to listen to it. Maybe during this vlog? I think so, yes. I think I'm going to fit it in, or at least start it. So there is an audiobook. It exists. Why the fuck can't I buy it? I am beyond irked. I'm not going to allow it. This is one of those cases where I'm going to have to buy a membership with some other service, some obscure service somewhere else. This is fucking infuriating. They have make a goddamn audiobook. They don't make it purchasable. So I figured it out. It's for sale in the UK. If I use a VPN, can I buy it then? I feel like I've bought something in the UK before. I don't remember. It's always strange switching cocoa brands because they're always a little bit different. And I can't tell if it's just that it's richer or if it's just a slightly different taste. It's still good, but it's distinctly different. It takes me a bit to get accustomed to it. It definitely looks chocolatier. I don't know if you can tell, but it looks darker. I started listening to The Changeling. I got some food cooking. And I'm liking it. It starts off with this black woman from, I don't think it was Uganda. It was I believe it was an African country, and she immigrates here and she ends up getting involved with a white man, and they have a child, and that's pretty much a setup because the story follows the child. The thing is that their marriage, it doesn't quite work out as planned, and that sort of ripples forward in what's happening with our main character. Right now, it's just a huge mystery relating to some key thing that happened in his childhood and this recurring dream he's having that sort of relates to this idea of the Changeling. And I'm very curious, and I'm really liking it. So I wouldn't say I'm loving it, but I'm really liking it. It's a solid book. And I'm liking, I'm enjoying the character focus. We've yet to really get deep into the speculative horror side. And that's my thought so far. I'm going to stick to that. I know it's Saturday. I won't quite do the challenge yet. I'll wait till I have more.
Later.
Okay, hello. It is 9 p.m. on Saturday. It's technically the 24-hour readathon. I didn't realize that. I thought it was the last day instead of starting the day before last. I guess I could have read more and embraced the 24-hourness of it, but I didn't do that, so it is what it is. I am still hoping to finish this before this is over. So far, I want to update you on a few things before I get into this book. I can't tell if I got smoothie on this or if it's just the book. I think it's just the book. It's like purple. I watched the spoken word poems and I really liked them. They were really good. I did not know those kind of things existed. I guess I did. I never thought that it was like the type of content to consume on YouTube, and I ended up going a rabbit hole of watching a bunch of different videos. They were so powerful. It's such a profound and powerful way of communicating, especially poems. I never thought of it that way. I've only watched a few. Most of them were Maya Angelou, and the ones that she's done. Some of them have been energetic, but not quite like the ones on these. These are like more performances, I think. My favorite of the three had to have been the two Muslim girls and their duo. That was a really powerful conversation. I've always tried to be acutely aware of how I perceive and the society perceives Muslims in our society, particularly as someone who became an atheist from Christianity, who became very anti-religion, and I'm still very anti-religion. But it was easier, I think, to recognize, or at some point I had to recognize that within the atheist community, there was a great deal of Islamophobia that is rooted in racism, xenophobia, and not in anti-religion. And that's always been difficult to be a part of that community for that reason. And I think that poem really encapsulated a lot of the reasons. It didn't pick out atheists specifically. It's America entirely. It's not rooted strictly in Christianity. It is, I think, a societal problem that is true for a lot of different people. Yeah, it was just a very powerful poem. I like the other two as well. The first one I liked at first. I will say that I sort of got tired of it because it just felt like a lot of talking about love, and I don't know, I kind of cynical. I know it's basically Valentine's Day. I listened to this a little too, I don't know, too romantic, trying too hard to be romantic. Not that I'm against romance, it was a lot. It was a lot at once. So where am I now? I'm in London, Ontario. That's where I'm at. But where am I at in this book? That's what I really mean. So I am 50% into this book, and I am still confused on where exactly the monster is going to lie, and I really love the unknown. You start out this book, and it appears like everything is fine. You have this boy being born to this immigrant woman and this white man, and we then see him grow up very fast, and himself get into a new marriage. The entire time, everything feels normal. There's nothing about it that should imply that something bad is going to happen. This is a horror book, so there's this acute awareness to the reader that something's going to happen. Something has to happen to upset the norm of this book. And there's this constant anxiety as a reader, at least for me, that even though it's like there's nothing about the story itself that should make you anxious, it's just the reality of the type of story that it is, and that feeling, that anxiety. I loved it. I am loving it, rather. Things are starting to pick up, but I'm still not sure what the monster is, and I'm not sure if we ever will know for real. Like I'm curious what the Changeling is referring to. I have several ideas, but a lot of this book is touching on mental health, among other things, and on, I think, that line of using mental health, speculative or horror, sci-fi, supernatural type horror, and like what is real versus what is related to mental health. And that feels like a heavy component of this narrative so far, and I'm curious where it's going to go. I don't know what would work the best. I always love a good speculative story that goes deep into the speculativeness, but I also appreciate a story that walks that line and makes you wonder even after the book is ended. Actually, I'm kind of glad I'm reading this book because it's just really good. I'm really liking it, and honestly, like I stopped reading it to do a few other things, including watching these poems, but honestly I didn't want to, and I still don't want to. I'm probably going to start reading again. I'll just find things to do to listen to it. It's really good. I don't want to stop. Look, I know the entire clip was very shifted. I'm sorry I didn't check beforehand. It's really hard because I don't have a reflection. I'm working on getting that fixed, but it's going to be a while. Keep an eye on where I'm at in the frame, and forgive the camera frame in that last clip. did not look at this for a while. I need a tree. Clearly needed a tree. And yeah, the hill was less green than it was just dark blue. I don't know. I know I picked a simple cover, but I don't think it's that bad. What do you think? What do y'all think? It's technically after 12, so this counts as the challenge for day 7. Still have to watch the movie. I'll be able to do it today and then Sunday, but I'm gonna finish this book right now. Okay, so I finished Riot Baby by Tochi Oniguchi, and I like this. I would say I really liked it. I'm going to give it 4 stars, but my feelings towards this are similar to the ones that I had towards Ring Shout, where I had this really inflated idea of what I was expecting from this novella, and in the end, it didn't quite live up to those high expectations, which, to be fair, were really quite high. So I worry that I overblew what kind of feelings it would invoke. It didn't quite reach those levels I was expecting. But I don't want to let that disappointment sort of cloud my review here. I think it's not a good book. It's a really good book. It's this dystopian future, near future, where the world is slowly revealed to be uncannily similar to what it is now. And it's this conversation about the state of our country, of our society, in our police system especially, as well as the industrial complex, prison industrial complex, and the racism that exists within it, and the abuse and ongoing murders that are going on in our society that are made illegal because of no good reason, just because of an inherent racism and power structures that exist in America. One thing I really appreciate about this was that it really shines a light on the fact that we live in a dystopia. And it's something I thought about and sort of talk about different fictions of dystopias that could be. And we never stop to think about the dystopia that actually is. And while this book does take some things to the extreme, and the future is just slightly more evolved than what it is now, a lot of it isn't. A lot of it is pulling from things that actually happen. I was constantly wondering where we were going to start getting, I guess, new things about this future. And we got a few things sprinkled in there. But overall, it was largely the same world, just slightly advanced. And the big picture is that we live in a dystopian as it is. And that is a sad reality that some of us have the privilege of pretending otherwise, while others do not have that privilege. And this book really highlights that. It's a really powerful book for that reason. And so, for a solid 4 stars, as I was going to say this is. I don't want to focus too much on my disappointment, because that was really just my own doing. Not that the book is inherently bad. That's the gist of it. So it's about 8 p.m. I'm getting a little tired, because I didn't get much sleep last night, which that's okay. I have class in the morning. I should go to bed. Not too late. And because I promised to watch that movie, His House, on Netflix, I need to do that. I kind of am tempted just to keep reading a bit more. This week has been great for reading. Been a really good motivation just to push and get as much read as I could, to talk about as much as I could this week. And it's been surprisingly conducive to that, despite the fact that it's actually been a really busy week for school. I will give you my thoughts on his house tomorrow when I close up the vlog. I think I'm going to wait in a few days. It should be 2 or 3 days when I know whether or not I got that fellowship that would allow me to have the post doc. I'll let you know whether or not that is or isn't going to happen. Or I'll do a end of the vlog summary of what I read at that point. In the meantime, though, because the night isn't quite over and it's still technically the week-long Blackathon Readathon, I want to pick my next book to read. And I hinted at finding Only Racing Class on audio and needing to get my hands on it. I made it happen. I had to set up an account for audiobooks.com in the UK, and I was able to get a copy that way. I don't know when, if ever, it's going to come to the States. So I'm debating what I want to read because I'm technically ahead in my reading schedule, and after these three, or after these two, which are originally on my TBR, I have the Poppy War to read before the 27th, and if today's the 13th, I theoretically have a lot more time than I'm imagining. Part of me thinks that if I read this, I might not read one of these. But chances are I'll be able to make it happen. Nevertheless, I want to decide between these three which one I want to read next. And I may end up having to drop one if I am not reading as much these next couple weeks. So anyways, let's get to it. I'm going to put it back to what it was. Actually, I'm not sure the way it was, but we're going to do 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do a quantum number generator yet again. Number 2. 1, 2, 3. Freshwater. I'm not going to lie. It wasn't necessarily getting me to read this one next because it's a heavy book, and I've just read several books that were pretty heavy, and that's okay. I just may end up reading more slowly than I would have. It's true about this one too. I'm worried that I might have reached my capacity for heavy books this month. I've been postponing this one for so long, but it's for the best that I start this one. So I'll start this, and for now, I guess this is a goodbye. Okay, let's wrap this up. Now, I don't remember exactly what I read in this vlog and read before and after it. I'm pretty sure I read The New Moon's Arms, right? And I said that I really liked this. I really liked the more human-focused part of the story, intertwined with that unique fantasy side. I believe I said I had just finished The Wicker King, and I overall really, really liked it. The Changeling. Did we talk about this? Because I loved this. Like, it takes you on a ride of some psychological mindfuck, takes it to unique levels, intertwining some classical, mythical sort of fairy tales. Whether or not its fairy tale aspects are realistic or purely psychological, is another question. In the end, like, I loved where it went with it. I loved where it went with it. I don't remember what my ratings were for these. You can find them on Goodreads. Freshwater is one I know I didn't finish in the vlog, I don't think. I did finish reading it after I started it in the vlog, and this was amazing, honestly. I started off liking it, but wondering where it was going before I realized that what it was doing was intended to be a way of looking at mental health in a brand new way, and it definitely did that. It says following the mind of a god who is embodying or possessing a young girl as she gets older and growing up into adulthood. And we're getting the god's perspective, telling the story of what it's like to do this and what her mindset is and all of this, and giving us like conversations between her and the host's consciousness, despite the overtness of the gods' conversation with us, the reality of their discussion of what's happening in their mind and all this. As real as it all feels, there's this constant question of, is this actually real? And what's amazing is that the implications, largely speaking, don't matter. I've talked about this before in other books, and how you have these ideas, these powers, or whatever, or something fantastical, and how the implications on the host, on the person, can be very real regardless of the thing itself is actually fantastical. A good example of this is, of course, the power from Earthsea duology, where, well, anyways, the main character, she feels people's pain, even though it seems to be purely psychological. Point is that this takes us through the mindset of potentially a young girl with a certain mental illness, but it doesn't frame it in that way, and it's only through the similarities between that story that we're able to sort of make that picture. And it's that analysis of the two, or the indirect analysis rather, like the subtle references to that make it so powerful in that unique way of looking at that. I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler. Like, I don't say exactly where it happens in the book or where it goes, just so that's the main idea here. You're exploring mental health through the guise of a god in possessing the host body. It also explores ideas of control and power. It's complicated. Read the book. I can't get into it. Then I also read Riot Baby. I don't think I started this during this vlog though. And this was one that I did solidly like, but I think I overhyped it for myself. Oh, I guess that's all that I read. Honestly though, like, even though they weren't all read in this vlog, I ended up reading a lot faster right before, during, and after. So like, I read a lot more than I would have for this one reading vlog. So I think this reading vlog was a success. I had a lot of really strong emotions in this vlog. At least, I don't know how well I conveyed them, but at least I felt them, I think. So I think they were great books. I'm glad I had a chance to talk to you all about them. I hope you enjoyed them. Now, as far as the movie that I did end up watching, His House, I watched it in VR. I think I recorded a clip. I want to say, it's all positive. The movie was spectacular, even better than I was expecting. And I think, what can I comment about when I was trying to figure out which movie I wanted to watch, about how I was going to a movie that seemed to appeal to my more traditional idea of what a horror makes a horror movie, and what I want from a horror movie. And what I ended up seeing in the movie was that it was not at all what I was expecting as far as a traditional horror film. In the sense that, like, sure, it's based in the UK, in Britain, but it is fundamentally a immigrant story, a refugee's story, and it follows them, and not just their experience trying to assimilate into Britain, but also the story, that the background of what drove them to come to Britain in the first place, and the multiple pressures that were going on, I guess, from all sides, as far as like what pushed them to immigrate and what is pushing them to try and go back. That story on its own was spectacular. But then you had this quote-unquote ghost story, which was framed in a different way, and I will definitely be reconsidering whether or not what I just told you was too much. It's not a traditional ghost story, and it incorporates what they proposit as traditional mythological concepts from their native region. So it was very different. It also really explores the complexities of our main characters, and I guess the things that they'll do because of the situations they've been put in. They have to make a choice of some type, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. It's just there, and it's a very powerful film. If you like horror, there's no doubt whatsoever that you should have watched this by now. That you should watch it if you haven't heard of it. His House on Netflix. It's got like well over 90% on Rotten Tomatoes for a reason. Highly recommend the film. Even if you don't like horror, I don't know, it's like a solid film. But it is scary. I think there are some jump scares. Again, highly recommend. So glad that I watched it, finally. And then, what is left? I think those are all the things that relate to the vlog. I know I said I was going to give you your answer. I haven't heard from the people, but it's Thursday, and they said they were going to tell me this week. And I tend to think that a non-answer is an answer. I think the reason I think that if I don't hear by tomorrow, which I don't, at this point I tend to think I'm not going to, I can just have to assume the worst. My advisor says the best way in this field to get opportunities is just to apply to a shit ton of things, and eventually one will stick. Rejection is very common. But she also said that the fact that I made it this far says something about me too, which I guess. It's hard not to judge myself in so many different directions this way, but that's not what this is about. I'm not looking for pity. Thank you so much for watching. No, it's not like that. Yeah, so it just means that the job hunting is going to keep going, and I'm going to have to put more effort into finding more jobs. That's how it goes. But overall, again, this has been a great vlog, and if y'all made it to the end, I'm so very grateful. Want to give me a house if you made it to the end because of His House. Show me that you heard what I said, and show me a house to prove to me that you either have watched it or will watch it, because you have to watch it now. It's going to take backs, you promised. But as always, thank you so much for watching, for real. And have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Okay, goodbye, everyone.